I hope you remember what we were discussing. We were discussing the J2E compliant folder structure just before the break, right? So now let me take you further and finally start with the background part is over with the actual topic of today, which is servlets. So I've sent you this, what is it? The README. So you can open it at your end and start with the point 9, why servlets? So of course, I'm going to explain what is servlet and then you can understand both the things. So let me ask you, if you add only the HTML pages in your web project, what kind of a content can you serve? Static content or dynamic content? Just with HTML, only static. So here, to add the dynamic nature to the web application, you are going to learn servlets, and next 3 days, 2-3 days, we are going to spend in servlets. So you need to know what is a servlet. Okay, so servlet is going to be a Java class. Obviously, anything we write in Java is fully encapsulated, so it is a Java class. Will you ever add a main method in the servlet? Answer is never. Because if you add a main method, then JVM's main method will call a main method, and it will be your standalone desktop-based application. So do you want to create a desktop-based application or a web application managed by the web server, web container? It's a web application. So you will never ever add a main method. What does it represent? Static or dynamic web component? Dynamic web component. Will it have its own life cycle? Very much yes. So who will be managing the life cycle? I told you 99%, okay, 90% of the answer of who is web container, which is nothing but your server-side JVM. So when you don't have any main method, what kind of methods you expect to write? What kind of life cycle methods? There are 3 life cycle methods. You must have observed lately I was using these words: init, service, destroy. So apply your common sense and tell me, how many times you think web container will call your servlet's init method? Already you know the answer. Exactly once. Once per request, somebody said. Totally wrong. Only once. So what will your container do? You know, servlet container. When we write a servlet and somebody sends a request to our servlet component, at the first time request, your container, web container will load the servlet class. So tell me, where are the classes loaded? Stack, heap, SHM. Stack, heap or method area? Method area. So class will be loaded and one singleton instance of the servlet will be created on the client side heap or server side heap. Where will the servlet instance? Of course, server side heap, web containers heap, right? And then it will start the life cycle. And the first method in the life cycle is init. So how many times it will be called in the life of a servlet? Exactly once. Suppose you have got 10 clients, just a number, sending 5 requests each. So first client sends request 1, RQ1, RQ2, RQ3, RQ4, RQ5, and likewise 10 other clients are also doing it. So 10 clients sending 5 requests each for, let us say, a login servlet. How many times its init method will be called? Always think in numbers. How many times its init method will be called? Exactly once. Next question. Towards the beginning of the life cycle or the ending of the life cycle? Everyone understands it, beginning. And what will be the steps? First, the servlet class will get loaded. Somebody was asking me yesterday about the class loader, bootstrap class loader. Guys, I have not yet discussed the JVM architecture. So let me come to JVM architecture and I'll tell you which classes get loaded with which class loader. So currently, let's say JVM's class loader loads the servlet class in the server-side heap. Server-side method area. Then the servlet class instance is created. And which is the first method in the life of a servlet? Init. Okay. So now your servlet class instance servlet is initialized. Answer the next question. How many times you think A servlet container. Servlet container is equal to web container. How many times the destroy method will get called? Exactly once in the life of a servlet. So again, have the same numbers. 10 clients sending 5 requests each to login servlet. How many times destroy method? Exactly once. Towards the beginning or towards the end of the life cycle? At the end of the life cycle. And when will what do you say marking of the end of any Java object lifecycle? Garbage collection. So after calling the destroy method, then servlet instance is marked for garbage collection. Okay. So in destroy method, if you override this destroy method, what kind of a code you will call? Opening the resources or closing the resources? I'm just preparing you for servlet JDBC integration. Of course, closing. And when would you like to open those resources, database resources, as in DAO instance creation and all? Init method. See, you are already shifting from standalone JDBC application to web application plus database. Are we doing it immediately? No, I'm just preparing you. Now the last question. How many times service method will be called by the web container? Yeah, so correct answer is, perfect answer is once per request. Multiple is obviously once per request I'll accept. So let me ask you, to your login servlet, suppose 10 clients are sending 5 requests each. How many times service method will be called? 50 is a very right answer. Everyone got that? Okay. So this is your first look at life cycle. Who's going to manage the life cycle? I mean, who's going to call these life cycle methods? Programmer or web container? Web container. But who has to write the logic, initialization, servicing logic, and the destroy logic? Of course, us programmer. Okay. So now, why we are insisting, why we are going to write the servlet? For these purposes. See, client will send the request. Your request object will be created by the container. But suppose I want to read this email password or read which topic was selected. I'm talking about content management case study. You have to do the request processing. You means what? I'm talking about servlet. Where are you going to write your functional logic, business logic in a servlet? What is going to be, who is going to be responsible for generating the dynamic response? A servlet. Who is going to, okay, let me ask you, do you want to write, listen to the question. Already servlet has so many jobs. So where do you want to write the data access logic? In the servlet itself, or would you like to separate it in the DAO layer? Of course, separation. Are you understanding the build-up? I showed you initially DAO Kojo. Today I don't know whether possible. Tomorrow, we will integrate it with a servlet. Okay. So instead of tester managing the DAO layer, you remember the tester, the topmost layer. That layer will be replaced by servlet, and the data access logic will be nicely separated in the DAO class. But managing the DAO layer means what? Creating DAO instance, calling CRUD methods, and cleaning up of DAO. Where you are going to write the code? In a servlet. So tell me, in init, what is it you would like? What is it you plan to do? What is it you think you will do? Init method, what will you do regarding DAO? No, regarding DAO, we have done all this connection and all that within the DAO. So DAO instance creation we will do. DAO instance creation will do in that. What is it you will do from the service? You will be calling the CRUD APIs, get all topics, get tutorials by topic, or validate user, etc. And what is it you would like to do? Call from destroy DAO.cleanup. Are you getting the feel of just, shifting from standalone desktop-based applications to a web application without writing anything yet? Okay, so this is it. And unlike your React is a single page application or multi-page application, SPA or what? It is a SPA, single page application. And which is that single page we have in React or even in Angular, for example, index.html. But there are components. You have login components, you have list users components, you have whatever. So all these components are added in that index page through the index.js. You have root component, app, etc. So for when you click on the links or routes or whatever, you have to do the navigation in React. I'm talking from one component to another component. Everyone understands what I'm talking about. So here, this is not a component-based architecture. The servlets or the J2E is a web-based, web page basis based architecture. In short, you will be creating couple of multiple dynamic web pages. So now with the example, you will understand it better, of course. So where are we? Read to lab data. Where was that case study? I've given you that somewhere. Need to help. The topic tutorial somewhere I'd given. You remember where it is? Case studies. Okay, this also has somewhere topic tutorials. Yeah, somewhere. I mean, so this is the customer part. So guys, when we start developing it, you will be writing a page, login servlet. Then there will be a topic servlet, tutorials page, tutorial details page, the logout page. Are you understanding? So these are the dynamic web pages which we are going to build together. Are you getting this? So this is what is the servlet all about. This is what you're going to do it in the next 2-3 days. So okay, so sorry. So when user clicks on the link or after user logs in, you would like to redirect the client in case of success from that login form or login page to maybe topics page. Or when user selects a particular topic and clicks on a button, further navigation. So coming back to the point, where are you going to write this page navigation logic? Again in a servlet. So for all these purposes, you are learning servlet, and over time, oh, okay, before I say over time, don't you think there are too many jobs to be done by the servlet alone? Are you agreeing that there are too many jobs? There is a too much of a job list. That is when you have done everything with a servlet, you will realize there are other components also, helper components. So then we will bring in JSP and we'll say that, okay, presentation logic, the response generation logic, the UI part, I can put it in JSP. That is your view layer. Then you can say the business logic need not be written in a what is it called, servlet. I can nicely tuck it out and separate it in something called as a Java bean. And that is where you'll be learning model view controller. So the web application would be the same, but you will be nicely separating it in a separate concern, separate functional separation, concerns, separate concerns and separate components. And the whole case study will come together nicely. So all those things you are going to learn over time. But before anything, you have to have some idea about servlet API. Otherwise, I cannot directly take you to writing a servlet. So before I give you servlet API, let's identify the objective. What is the objective? The objective is testing basic servlet lifecycle, whether it is calling whatever we said is correct or not, init, service, destroy type methods, whether it is calling at all. And this servlet is just going to be a welcome servlet. You know, hello world kind of a servlet we are going to write. But before that, let me send you. This is a very, again, whatever I'm saying today are important things because those are fundamentals. I'm sending you a diagram, servlet API. When I send you something, guys, first download it. Otherwise, after a while, you ask me for the same thing. So please download servlet API.png so that even later it will be available. Of course, I'll be uploaded on Google Drive, but in the lunch break. Okay, so before I start with that, let us do some things first. I'll start explaining it in a minute, but what was our lifeline throughout Core Java? Core Java API documentation, Java docs is the lifeline of a programmer. Likewise, I've already given you J2E docs. So let us first extract it and keep it available, and then I'll start discussing the servlet API. So I'll tell you where I have given you. There is some jar. Let me just check. I think first day itself I've given you. Wait a second. Day one data, day one help, web programming prerequisites. Yeah, just a second. Software and docs. Okay, I'll give you the path. Open parallelly. Day one data, day one help, web programming prerequisites, software and docs. Reach here? Okay. Can you see here Java EE API 8.0 Java docs? Okay. So now don't extract it here. I don't know. I hope you are managing it fine. I hope you create one folder for all Java docs. I have given you so far only core Java API docs. This is J2E. Later, I'll give you JPA docs, Hibernate docs. Later, I'll give you Spring docs and all. Put it all together. So wherever you want, just paste it. I mean, just move it there. And you can simply say right click and extract here. Extract here means wherever you want to extract in the common folder. Extract it quickly. I have extracted it in the one common folder, API docs. Where is that? API docs. Okay. Have you extracted? Done extraction? So after extracting, you'll get a folder Java EE8 doc. Got it? You just have to extract a jar. Right click on that jar, extract here. That's it. Why it is taking so much time to respond? It's a simple extraction, guys. I'm getting very late response. Anyway, you do it in the lab session if you're not doing it fast. And then under Java EE8 doc, you will see your index page. So now, throughout Enterprise Java, keep this open. So what are we looking at? Is it a core Java API docs or J2E docs? It is Java EE docs. Everyone can see that. Okay. So whatever I explain, as has been our practice, throughout core Java, I was always showing you from Java docs. So even if tomorrow you don't remember, you don't something, you can always refer to it. So which is the first thing we are going to start with is a servlet documentation. So I'm connecting a lot of things together today. So in the Tomcat home lib folder, there is a servlet API.jar, which has got all these servlet specification, and Tomcat specific implementation classes are in Catalina jar. So when you open the Java docs, you are going to see this specification documentation. So start here. There's no, what do you say, search box here. So you'll have to do Control F and all that. So go to the packages and Control F for javax.servlet. The first package we are going to start with is the javax.servlet. Found javax.servlet. There is an extension X for Enterprise Java, javax.servlet. And here, if you scroll down, you will find the interface, first interface, which is nothing but your servlet interface. Everyone reached your servlet interface? Those who are trying it along with. I don't know why I'm not getting responses. Have you managed extracting the jar? It's a one minute or whatever process. Okay. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to wait. So now it is telling you that it defines all the methods all the servlets should implement. They tell you such a good description. Must read. Small Java program runs within a web server. They request, they accept HTTP requests, send HTTP responses, etc. And basically, they tell you about init, service, and destroy. Read it later. So if you talk about which are the methods, there are totally 5 methods in this servlet interface. 3 out of 5 are lifecycle methods. So one is init. What is servlet config? You will understand later on day 3. Then there is a there is a service method, and then there is a destroy method. So in addition to that, there is a get servlet config, about servlet config later, and get servlet info to find out the information about the servlet, who has authored it, when it was authored and all. So ignore these two. Who is going to call this init method? Servlet container is equal to web container. Exactly once during initialization. What are the two arguments of service method? You can see. You can observe it immediately. What are the two arguments of service method? You can click on this and find. There are two arguments, servlet request, servlet response. Everyone can see that. Who is going to call it? Web container. How many times? Once per request. So this request object and response object will be already created by the container and it will call your service method. Okay, that way it is. So if you click on servlet request, check. Is it an interface or is it a class? Specification or implementation? Specification, interface. And here we are still not into like HTTP servlet, HTTP world. So then extended by HTTP servlet request and all of that. So it tells you this is representing an object to provide client side information, client request information to the servlet. Okay, so this is all about the Java docs. Whenever I require more, I'll ask you to refer. Now, please open that diagram, which I have given you, just servlet API. Mark it as a very important diagram. And I have written it in a, okay, I have written it in detail, but I'll just tell you in points because it is already 11:30 and we have not written anything today. That shouldn't happen. So servlet API implementation classes are present in the server provided jars. So specification, servlet API jar, implementation for Tomcat, Catalina jar. So start reading the first box, which is the starting point, which is the root interface where everything starts. Java. Mute yourself. Here it is Balkrishna. Balkrishna, whoever you are. Faculty, lab faculty, please mute all. I can't mute all here. Okay, so okay, so servlet interface consists 5 methods. Out of them, 3 are init, service, destroy, lifecycle methods. So when we start writing a servlet in next 5 minutes, are we going to implement from the servlet interface? Answer is no. So which is the implementation class of the servlet? You can look at. You can see it yourself. The name of the implementation class is generic servlet. Is it abstract or is it concrete? It is an abstract class. Which methods are abstract and which methods are concrete? Init and destroy, it has implemented. Service method is still abstract. Does this generic servlet represent protocol specific servlet or protocol independent servlet? Protocol independent. But are we going to create our servlet extending from generic servlet? Never. Because this is not recommended to be used with HTTP because it doesn't support so many HTTP features. So not even a single word is my own. So check it out. So go back to your servlet interface, which is the implementation class, generic servlet. Come here. It is an abstract class. Defines a protocol independent servlet. Read the next line. So tell me, if we want to use HTTP protocol, should we extend from generic servlet class or HTTP servlet class? GS or HS? Of course, you should extend from generic. I'm so sorry, HTTP servlet. They have already told you. As much as possible, we'll stick to whatever are the statements made by your Java docs. So coming back here. So now what is the subclass here? HTTP servlet. Long back, really long back, when we were talking about abstract keyword, I had asked you a question. So let me repeat that question. In Java, Can you write an abstract class containing 100% concrete functionality? It's a Boolean question, yes or no. Answer is yes. And I told you long back that I'll take you to HTTP servlet and you will see the example and you will understand it. So listen to this. So here, see the hierarchy. Servlet interface implemented by generic servlet, extended by HTTP servlet. So what is HTTP servlet? Is it an abstract class or a concrete class? It is an abstract class, abstract subclass. But what are the abstract methods in that? None of them. It doesn't even contain a single abstract method. So it is an extremely popular interview question. That why this? So I have given a separate readme. I'll ask you to read it later. Okay, so later we'll discuss. So now it is containing a service method. I hope you are not mixed up. See, init and destroy was already implemented by GS, generic servlet, which was the unimplemented method service. So now again open Java docs and look at your subclass HTTP servlet. And here, check this out. Abstract or concrete? It's an abstract subclass. Okay, read this. Provides an abstract class to be subclass to create HTTP servlet suitable for a website. So answer simple questions. Can I create a HTTP servlet class instance itself? Can we instantiate this class? HTTP servlet? No. So what is it forcing on the servlet developers like us? You have to extend from HTTP servlet class. Are you understanding? Abstract classes can be extended. Everyone knows that. And now you have to override. If you want to do the request processing, you will see that you will have to override at least one of these methods. If you don't do any of it, you'll not get any compile time error, runtime error, but you will get a error HTTP 405, client-side error, methods are not implemented. Okay, so all that is little heavy for the first day. Just understand the hierarchy. Servlet implemented by GS, generic servlet, extended by HTTP servlet. Now, search for service method. So don't look at protected, look at the public void service method. So this service method, it has inherited from the superclass. Is it public service or protected service? It is the public service method. So listen to this carefully. I'll be repeating this 10 times a day because it is that important. So when client sends a request, web container will call this public service method. Okay, so this is the step 1. Now, everything I'm telling you from Java docs, this public service method will dispatch your request to which service method? Public or protected? Public service calls which service method further? Protected service method. Now go to protected and they have given you 100%. There is no need for you to override the method. So now go up and see. So this is the method. Public service method calls the protected service method. Tell me, what are the arguments of this? Is it a servlet request or is it a HTTP servlet request? What are the arguments you are looking at? Now you have stepped into HTTP world. So just click on HTTP servlet request, please. Interface or a class? 90% it is going to be interfaces, you know that. But it is the sub-interface of servlet request. Servlet request is a super interface. HTTP servlet request is sub-interface. Are you expected to know all these APIs? 100% yes. When you say I have taken the project in Enterprise Java, you are supposed to know about servlets inside out. So I'm spending so much time and I'll be repeating it 10 times a day. Don't worry. So coming back. So what are the two arguments? HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. Click on that. It is nothing but extending from your servlet response. Okay. Now going ahead. So you see this. Okay, you can click on this. And what are the two exceptions it includes in the throws class? One is servlet exception, one is IO exception. So if something internal, server side error, if something goes wrong in processing on the server side, it will throw the servlet exception, which is a checked exception. But finally, guys, it is reading the request and sending the response, input and output. Reading the request input, sending the response output. So if something goes wrong in reading the request, sending the response, which exception will be raised is IO exception. Okay. So now recall. You means client send the request to the servlet. Web container starts the life cycle. Not for every request. For the first request, it has to start from scratch. Loads the class, instantiates, and calls the init method. If init method succeeds, if initialization succeeds, which method it will call next? For servicing, which method is called? Service method, public service method. Very good answer. Public service method will call which method internally? Wrong. Protected service method. Okay. So our control has come to protected service method. Now read this. It receives standard HTTP request from the public service method. We know that. Now, is this method going to do real work or is it going to dispatch it further? Tell me. Is your protected service actually a worker or further dispatching, and and dispatches it to your do XXX, do star method. So now see, keep my diagram in front of you. If client is sending the data using get request, HTTP request method, HTTP method get, what will be XXX replaced by get? So which method your protected service will call? Do get. So immediately search for do get. It is already given. If the servlet supports, if the incoming request is HTTP get, which method your service will call? Do get. If you are sending some critical data via post, which method service will call? Simple question, simple answer. Do post, likewise do put and do delete. Of course, it supports do head, options, stress and all, but the mainly we are going to use do get or do post. So if you look for do get, for example, take a look at it. Is it an abstract method or is it a concrete method, A or C? They are not mentioned abstract, so of course it is concrete, called by the server via service method. And this is for service to service the get request. And here overriding this method is compulsory. Otherwise, you will definitely see they have given all this HTTP 405. That is, if you have not supplied any implementation, the default implementation, simply send the response that this method is not supported by this URL. So we are going to start overriding do get and we are going to check whether our servlet works as per understanding. So either you read it from here or you read it from my diagram. I'm okay with that. So this was the whole discussion. Public service calling the protected service and protected service further checking which is the HTTP verb, which is the HTTP method, and accordingly calling do get, do post, do put, do delete. So now the control comes to us and we are going to write in a minute a hello world type of a servlet. So what will be the super class of our servlet, guys? Which will be the super class of our servlet? What will it extend from? Quickly. Super class of our servlet. After doing all this discussion, again you are saying generic servlet, Prashant. Servlet, HTTP servlet, guys. Keep the diagram in front of you. I'm not expecting you to remember all these things, but when you have a diagram in front of you, you should give me a correct answer, right? So let us do it line by line. I'll explain one line and we'll do it. So here we are going to create a class. Hello world servlet extends from HTTP servlet. Okay, so let us get into finally writing a servlet. See, so much of background is required when you are when you are like on the first day of this. Abhijit, I'm not going to answer this. You keep your Java docs in front of you. You are making such a big mistake. When I'm writing and showing you, how can you get confused between a class and an interface? HTTP servlet is a class. Check your Java docs and ask a question, ask a better question. Okay, so servlet was the interface implemented by generic servlet class, extended by HTTP servlet. Keep it simple and clear. Okay, so is everyone here in day 3.1, guys? Day 3.1? Okay, so you tell me, where would you like to write a servlet? In which folder? Obvious answer is there in front of you. I want it from you. Anyway, let's not waste time. SRC main Java. Wherever you want to, whenever you write any Java sources, servlet, DAO, POJOs, will write it in SRC main Java. Okay, but before that, let's do some things, and then you'll understand the whole purpose in a minute. We are going to write a servlet, but before that, let's add a link. Open your index page, please. Everyone knows how to add the links, href tag, and here I'm saying anchor tag. Let's say test. Invoke a servlet. I hope nobody requires help in HTML. Everyone can manage that. I'm still sending you the link in case anyone has forgotten the link tag. When I send you something, if you're going to require it, please copy it fast. So now, if I say, so what is it I have added? Welcome message and this link. So when this link is sent to the client, and when client clicks on it, what will be the next request sent from the client? Anyone wants to tell me the URL? What will be the URL sent from the client browser? I'll start it for you. HTTP localhost 8080 is constant. So don't tell me that part. No, /test is wrong. I mean, something is missing. So tell me, what will be the first part of URI? Will it directly start with /test? Wrong answer. What will it start with? The context path. What is the context path? /day 3.1 /test it is going to be. So the whole URL, don't, this one, Yogesh, uppercase, lowercase, don't mix up. Keep all lowercase, context root, context path, keep it all lowercase. Okay. So the whole thing will be HTTP localhost 8080, whatever, day 3.1 /test. So now you don't run it because you might take a lot of time. I'll do it for you. So if I do this, right click, run as, and all that, you can see the link. But when I click on the link, are you going to get some response, or are you going to get HTTP 404? Page not found or the response? Of course, client-side error, where we have written it. So this we are going to replace it by the servlet response. Is the objective clear to everyone? Okay, so now let us work towards it. First rule. Rule means first step. Anytime you are developing, stop the server. So when I say stop the server, you should not look here and there. So here, see where my cursor is. Here there is one, what is called symbol, servers. Click on that. Select Tomcat, and there is a stop button here. Stop the server. Okay, done. During development, you should stop the server. What is it we are going to write now? HTML or servlet? A servlet. Where are you going to write it? Under SRC main Java. So here my instructions, don't be hyper. When you say right click and new, you have an option servlet. But if you directly do that, you don't understand anything. So first servlet, we are going to write everything without taking any content access, without taking IDE help. So please choose a class. SRC main Java, new class, quickly. So select a class. You should always write a package Java classes, and servlet is going to be a dynamic web page. So call it as pages. You can call it P1, P2, example, anything. And since it is going to be just a hello world, I'm saying it as hello world servlet. First example. Are you going to add a main method? quick responses. Some of you are not coding with me, so they should respond. No main method. What is going to be the super class of all our servlet? Now at least don't mix up. Give me a correct answer. What is going to be the super class? HTTP servlet. So here itself, or okay, we'll do it in the actual code. I was going to say here, do this. No worries. Do it later. So you got a empty class. Now do it fast. I've spent a lot of time in explaining things. Extends HTTP servlet. So choose javax.servlet.htdp and you can see this. Okay, you can take the cursor over. It will pop up the documentation. Here, you can see that it is not giving you any error because it is an abstract class but containing 100% full functionality, concrete functionality, because they don't want to trouble you that override all the methods. You can make the selection. More on this later. So now start. Let us start overriding certain lifecycle methods. Okay. So here, I hope you reach here. Now follow me. So here inside, go to source and say override implement method. I'm maximizing it. Reach here. So answer the next question. When the client clicks on the link, which is the default HTTP method by which the request will be sent? Get or post? When you click on the link, of course, get. When we write the form and submit it with method equal to post, then the post method. So choose, okay, which method will correspond to get? Answer is do get. So where is your do get? So select do get. Selected do get. Okay. Now go to generic servlet and expand it. I want you to trace the life cycle. So do you see the two init methods? Choose the one without the argument. What is the meaning? All tomorrow. And choose the destroy method. So how many methods you have selected overall? Tell me. Which ones? Init, without argument, destroy, and do get. Are we done? Okay, this. So that, I'm just reducing your typing. Otherwise, you'll take a lot of time to type it out. Okay. So which method will be called first in the life cycle of a servlet? Init. So here, remove that super.init and let's trace the life cycle. The whole idea is to explain the life cycle along with hello world. So sys out in init, and I want to also show you that it is the web container who is managing the threads, who is managing the concurrency. So does anyone remember? If I want to find out the invoker thread details, which is the method of the thread class you have seen, I want to find out which thread has invoked it. Which is the method of the thread class? Exactly, very right. Thread.current thread. So I can say in init, I can say invoked by, and here add thread.current thread. Don't say get name. I want you to see all three details: the name of the thread, the priority, and the thread group. That is the best way to learn J2E. Trust me on that. I mean, you start understanding it totally. So this is what we did in init. Copy paste this, put it in destroy, change it to destroy, of course. Okay, and now we'll come, I of course put it in the service also. I mean, you can say in do get. I'll wait. All we have done added is just the SOP, just what do you say, some tracers. Done this. Okay. Now, so init and destroy is fine. Now, what is the objective? The objective I already told you here. When the client clicks on the link, that means client is sending the request to this particular servlet. We will map it. I've not yet mapped it. We have to do the mapping. So all that we will do. So when the client sends the request to the servlet, naturally I don't want to show right now. It will be like there's no host running. So forget it. So here I want to send the response welcome from servlet. Okay. So which method which method we will use for responding? Init, destroy, or do get? Which method we will use? Of course, do get. So now I have written all these steps and shared it with you also. Read them. So here, for the complete understanding of life cycle, we have overridden these two methods. Now I'm telling you the steps in do get. Okay. So now here, who is going to send the response to whom? We know server to client. But which is the server side component you are learning? Servlet. So servlet is going to send the response to web browser. So before you can start sending the response, we have to set the content type. Client browser has to know what type of content. So whose method it is? It is the method of HTTP servlet response. What is the method name? Set content type. And are we sending JSONs here, images, or simple HTML? We are going to send here HTML contents. So response.set content type. Don't make a spelling mistake here. Text/HTML. So let us do one thing at a time. Open the IDE and here write the comment. Set response content type. So here the method, I'll give you the first time you are looking at it. So I'll give you everything in writing here. Method of HTTP servlet response. And what is that method name? Void. You don't have to write this. You can directly write the code. Set content type. And here you are going to give the content type. Okay. So now, do I have to create the HTTP servlet response object? I don't. Container has already created. So simply call a method response dot. Which method are you going to use? Set content type. Read the pop-up description. Sets the content type of the response being sent to the client. Okay, so choose that. What will be the argument? After saying this 100 times, people still make spelling mistakes. If you give a wrong spelling here, your browser will start downloading the page. It should be text/HTML. These are the known content types. So quick question. When you set this, is this content type set as status code, response header, or response body? Wrong answer. I've given you in writing, guys. We have drawn the diagram. I don't think you have drawn the diagram then. This is going to be setting the header whose name is content type. Content type header will be set with the value of text HTML. So this will be response packet header. I've given you in writing content type, content length are the headers. We have not yet written any response body. So now to send, right? To send the response from server to client. That is to set the response body. We are going to open the IO stream. So I hope you remember java.io. So I'll ask you simply, what kind of a response we are going to send here? Character oriented or binary? C or B? Let me see your answer. Character. So, and I want to write. So tell me, which is the hierarchy you should choose? Input stream, output stream, reader, or writer? Did not ask you that, Srinivas. I asked you the basic question first. Input stream, output stream, reader, or writer? Choose the hierarchy. Writer. Now, do we want to do the buffered writing part or unbuffered writing part? Buffered writing. And which was the best class which I had advertised throughout core Java? Buffered writer or print writer? Print writer. Now you'll realize why we spent so much time. So to set response body, you are going to use the print writer, the same print writer which you have learned earlier. So to set the that is to set the response body, get writer instance, get the writer instance, which is a print writer instance from HTTP response. Okay. So which is the method? The method name itself is get writer. So you have to do it systematically. So if you check, look for servlet response, Control F. If you see servlet response API, you will find a method there. Look for the method get writer and tell me, what is it returning? Our famous java.io.printliner. So if you are sending the contents of the type text/html, can I use my print writer? 100% yes. But if I want to send the binary contents, if I want to download the images, print writer is a character oriented writer. So there is another method. Look for a method, get output stream. And now tell me, if you want to send the binary response from server to client, which method will you use? Get writer or get output stream? Get output stream. But if you want to use, okay, sorry. Before that, when you say, what is it returning? It is returning your servlet output stream. And check the hierarchy. Are we in the binary world or are we in the character world? Are you remembering anything from IO? Do you remember those 4 hierarchies? Input stream, output stream, reader, and writer. So this was for the binary. But since our whole exercise is around the sending text/HTML, sending the HTML text, we will end up using get writer. Now, quick questions. Print writer, is it auto-closable or not? It is auto-closable. I hope everyone remembers. So can I open it in try with resources? 100% yes. So start. So try with resources. And here I'll write the left hand side. Print writer PW. Now, are you going to create the instance or are you going to get it from HTTP response? Answer is you get it from HTTP response. And which is the method you saw just now? Response.getWriter. Read the description. Returns a print writer object that can send the character text to the client, which is what we want. Perfect. So this is what is the next step. See, I am explaining a lot so that you have a complete clarity about what you are doing, but actual code finishes faster later. So all I have done is set the content type header and I have opened the IO stream, which is ready to set the response body. Okay. Now come inside and tell me which methods of the print writer. You got print, you got println, you got printf. But guys, now we are talking in HTML. So println and printf are useless because if you want to have a new line, which is the tag you use in HTML? Do you use println? Of course not. You use br tag, breakline tag, right? So let's use the print throughout. And all I'm saying is welcome to servlets. So now tell me, this particular message or this particular content, will it be added as a status code, response status code, response header, or the response body? Quickly, of course, this is what is added in the response body. In simple words, whatever you pass, whatever you add in the buffer of this print writer is going to be kept adding in the buffer, and everyone knows this. When you come to the end of try with resources, which method is called? Print writer's close method. Guys, this is a continuation of understanding of core Java. So you can't just forget about earlier thing. So at this point, what will happen? Your web container what will web container do? Web container will take the buffer contents. So web container will send, or I'll say sends, print writers buffer contents to the web server, and web server puts it in the response packet, which I have given you in writing, HTTP response packet containing status code, header, and the response body. So if you don't specify any status code, which is the default status code it will add? Success code, HTTP response code 200. There will be additional headers. One more header it will add, content type header, and the response body will be this. So this response packet will have SC is for status code 200. Then it will have headers. One of the header will be content type, and then will be there a response body, which is nothing but welcome to servlet. But if I write only this message, tell me, what will you still call it? Changing response, static response, I mean, static or non-static, as in, sorry, static or dynamic. Non-static is wrong. Of course, a static response. So then it hardly will interest you. So let's make it dynamic. So welcome to servlets and add a timestamp. So how do I add a timestamp? You remember local date time class from that Java API? So simply say local date time dot now. So local date time. This represents a time, date time dot now. I've shown you this all in core Java. It shows you the millisecond precision timestamp. So if I make multiple requests, is it going to show you the changing content, fixed content, or static or dynamic now? Will it be static or will it be dynamic? Changing or non-changing? Of course, changing. Which part will be dynamic? This is of course static, but the timestamp part, the date time part will keep changing. So this is your first look at servlet or first written servlet. Okay, I'll be revising it multiple times, but not now because we already last time I would say we already invested a lot of time in just talking. So now think and answer. If I write only this much, I mean, we have written this together. Okay, by the way, I'll send you this, but in a minute. So if I write this much only, do you think web container can manage this servlet lifecycle automatically? I said, if you write only this much, do you think web container can understand this as a servlet and manage it? Answer is no. Web container is not a magician. You have to give explicit deployment instructions to the container. Like how we gave the deployment instruction to the container that this is my welcome file. Likewise, who has to supply the deployment instruction? Programmer. To whom? Web container. And how? There are two ways. So one legacy way, good old way is XML tags. Okay. But guys, you will see you have to write so many XML tags to deploy a servlet. So again, long back I had told you this, which is an excellent shortcut, crisper alternative to XML. Anyone? Which is a simpler alternative, easier, lightweight alternative to XML tags, bulk of XML tags. No memory, annotations, which is nothing but your decorators and all that in the Python and Angular. So annotations are way preferred. Both the job is the same. Guys, open my, I don't know which day, where I introduced that at overhead annotation. I had given you in writing. Am I audible? I'm not getting any responses. Okay, fine. So you are listening. So the point is, annotations will reduce the bulk of XML. So which is the annotation we are going to use? Here is the answer. Again, the Java docs. So the annotation name is web servlet. So look for Control F, web servlet. There is no search box, so you'll have to use Control F. Look for the annotation web servlet. Here, if you have selected only javax.servlet, you won't see it. So click on all classes and you will see web servlet. So what is the package? You will find it under javax.servlet.annotation. Name of the annotation is web servlet. So let me ask you, earlier annotations such as functional interface, functional interface, override, your suppress warnings, they were meant for whom? Compiler or runtime? Java C or JVM? Runtime, you're saying, come on. After spending entire core Java, you're saying this horrible wrong answer. They were compile time annotations. You are telling compiler whatever follows is a functional interface, etc. But this is, I told you long back again, I don't know whether you remember or not. In J2E, you are going to see all the runtime annotations. So, what is the server-side JVM? What is this server-side JVM? Or what is that server-side runtime called? Web container. So now, read this and I'll explain. The name of the annotation is @web servlet. So, read this and I'll talk to you. Who is going to process this? Who is going to read this web servlet annotation? Answer of who is, you know, generally web container. When? At the deployment time. Exactly once. Okay. And what is it you are going to give the instruction? You are just going to give the instruction. Like how in React, in app.js, typically we add all the routes, you know, protected routes, authenticated routes, etc. So that routing information we give in the app component. Likewise here, you are giving the mapping information. Which mapping information? Understand this. If the client makes a request, okay, I lost it. Anyway, if the incoming request from the client is what? Ending in the URL pattern, there's a term called as URL pattern after URI in /test, which servlet should service it? I'll repeat the last statement again. This annotation is used for mapping incoming request to a particular servlet. So let me ask you the question. After clicking on that invoke servlet link, don't go by memory, go by understanding. After clicking on invoke servlet link, what will be the URI? Don't tell me HTTP localhost 8080. I know that. Can you tell me what will be the URI? Type it. All answers are in URIs and URLs. What will be the URI which will be sent? Again, Sumit, you missed out something. URI always starts with the context path. Which is the context? What is the web project name we are using here? First, /day 3.1 and then followed by the actual path /test. So your request has already been received by day 3.1. Now it will start. Don't write a slash here, /test. So now you have to map that incoming pattern that is called as a URL pattern to your servlet. So how do you do that? Come down here. There are so many attributes, so many properties of that annotation, and one of them is value. So here is where you can supply the URL pattern of the servlet. But since it is the first servlet you are mapping, you don't what do you say? Property is not mandatory. I mean, you don't have to specify the name. So open your class, servlet class, and let us add one annotation. So annotations can come at the class level, method level, field level, etc. This is a class level annotation. So above the class, add @web servlet. Okay. And whether you write explicitly value is equal to, anyone wants to tell me what will be the value of that incoming URL pattern, which is after the context tool? What should be the value I should supply? No. /day 3.1 now is gone because you have, no, I mean, it is already serviced. Only the last path is the URL pattern /test. Or I said, even if you drop this name and if there is only one attribute, even this will work. So currently keep it as only this much. Now the important discussion. Without that discussion, I cannot help. I mean, I cannot go ahead. So now tell me, who is going to process this annotation? Simple question. Those who are not typing, respond faster. Web container. When? Per every request or only once at the deployment time? Only once at the deployment time. And here, at the deployment time, what is your container going to create, guys? A good old map. That is why we have spent so much time in maps in collection framework. Anytime I say a map, map has a key and a value, typically a hash map. It is actually a specialized subclass of a hash map. So anyone wants to tell me, what do you think the key it will store and what will be the value? One at a time. Looking at these two lines, you can guess it. What will be the key here? Key in the map? Of course, yeah, what will be the key? The container creates a map for request mapping. What will be key of that map? No clues. I generally get a lot of answers at this point from the freshers, guys. So apply little bit of yourself. I said looking at these two lines, nobody can guess what will be the key. Rising. The key is nothing but that incoming URL pattern /test. Okay. And if the request is coming for that /test URL pattern, which is the servlet which is supposed to service it? Hello world servlet. So a fully qualified class name. Don't say just hello world servlet. What is a fully qualified class name? Pages dot hello world servlet. So who is creating this map? Programmer or a container? Container. When? At the deployment time. So think of it like, if you want to think in code, hash map. Hash map HM equal to new hash map string comma string. And the key will be the incoming URL pattern or the value of this URL pattern. And the value will be fully qualified class name. So when the client sends a request, this map is already ready. In goes the key and out comes the value. So what will be the value it will get? Your container will know that this is the servlet it has to service. And then your web container will start the entire life cycle. So all of this, I know it is heavy. Heavy for the beginner, I'm saying. By the second day, you'll start finding it very light. So let us first check whether things are working as per expectation, and then we will conclude. Okay. So what you are going to do is you're just going to deploy the web application. So just confirm, have you added the annotation and rest of it? I'll share this hello servlet. I think I have talked enough for enough time to give you sufficient time to catch up. So day 3.1 SRC main Java pages hello world servlet. I've sent you hello world servlet. If anyone wants it, take it now. And now just go with me, please. Right click on this, deploy a web application. Right click, run as, run on server. And say finish. You should not be ever hyper in testing. So first check the server side console. Server side console should be all error free. There should not be any exceptions, any errors, anything. Then go to the client side browser. And again, I'm saying follow me because this is new stuff for you. I don't know whether you have done it in so much detail in earlier technologies. So here, open the inspect option. Open the network tab. So you'll understand that request response flow. Okay, so you can just keep it here. And now here, when you click on it, we are sending the first request to your what? To a servlet. Click on this and tell me HTTP 404 or output. You can see that, right? And now go to the server side console and check, is the life cycle understood so far correct or not? Which is the first method which your server side container has called in it? Which is the thread used for that? It has used, okay, so HTTP NIO is the framework. The port number I'm using 9090. execution. So this is whole thing is the name of the thread. Thread number 7. Priority is 5 and the name of the thread group is 5. Which is the next method it has called? Public service calls protected service, further calls do get, and this is what has sent the response. Finding it same on your console? 100% it has to be the same. Okay. And now watch, inspect the whole traffic, network traffic. So click on this test, click on the headers. So this is the request which was sent when you clicked on that link. Which was the method we had used? Get. Which is the status code? Are you getting the status code 200 now? Tell me. 200 status code. Here, remote address and all that. Now see something. Which was one of the response headers we said? Content type. Of course, it adds character set, default character set, ISO Latin. Ignore that. But text/HTML. Content length 55. So this must be 55 character length, etc. And you can say response coming back. Have you understood first request response loop from the servlet? Understood? I've spent almost a day on that. So tell me, you tell me, like, frankly, at least 10-15%, if not more than. Network window you're looking at, this is what is network window. I'm not going to waste time in showing network window here. Meet me in the labs because we have a lot to cover. So this is your network window already in front. So I don't know what else to show. Now send another request from the same client. How do you do that? When you say refresh here, reload this page, send another request. So first clear the first request, clear, refresh. So tell me, keep on refreshing. Static response or dynamic response? Quickly. Are you seeing the changing timestamp or the same timestamp? Of course, dynamic. You got it? Open the server side console and tell me which is the request after the initialization is done, which is the only method your container is calling. Output is do get, but web container calls the public service calls the protected service checks get or post or put or delete. Since it was get, it is calling a do get method. But I hope you are observant and smart enough. What are you looking at? Same names or different threads? Different threads. So this is the heart of executor framework. It is based on a thread pool, which I'll explain you on day 2, day 3 of servlets. Not today is a day 1 of servlet. You're too new for that. Just keep observing and you'll start putting things together over time. Now, can the same servlet, okay, can the same servlet service yet another client? Yes or no? Of course, yes. Everyone understands me? Okay. So now put the cursor here, or you can add a demarker line or something here. Okay. So you'll know what has happened. Now launch another browser. Another browser, I'm simulating another client because I'm on this one host. If I had connected to another host, I would have said, but it's okay. So another one. Now say refresh. Do you all see a link here? And when you click on the link, tell me, is it responding or is it not responding to this? Are you getting the response? You can connect incognito. You can go incognito and you can do that, or you can open simply this. So if you keep sending the request here, changing timestamp. Now I hope you'll have a better idea about that request response flow. So a question. Don't open. If you open server console, see now I have connected a different client. So which of the following you expect to see? Init, do get or destroy for talking to separate client? Init, do get or destroy? Only do get. Because guys, only a singleton instance. Are you understanding? The singleton instance of the servlet will be created by the container, and the same singleton instance is going to be shared, is going to be used to service multiple clients, multiple requests. Understanding something from the, what is it called? Discussion, from the observation, not discussion, observation. Okay, so it's not about initiated. So the same servlet instance can cater multiple clients, multiple requests. So now, so this is known fact. You can keep checking here. You can see that, so you can see the request going. Ignore this React Dev Tools. I've just added some of the things, so they are coming. Your main focus should be on the actual request you are going. Okay, so now suppose you close this browser. Okay, let me ask you in this. Suppose I close all the browsers. I mean, I close all the clients. What is it you expect to see on the server side console? Currently, I have two clients, Chrome client and Edge client. Suppose both the clients shut down. So the answer is wrong. You try it out. Your container is laughing at you. And of course, it's okay because you are just learning. It is a fresh first day. Nothing happens here. Close the edge also. Nothing. Web container says, when one of the client is logged out or exited, why should I destroy my servlet? Meaning, now launch the client again, some other client again, and access the website. So now what is it you expect to see? Will it create another servlet instance or the same servlet instance which has been created, instantiated, initialized? Will it continue to service it? The same servlet instance continues to service it. This is called as the persistent life cycle. After the first request, the moment the client sends the first request, servlet instance is created, and unless and until you give a shutdown trigger, it is going to be in the same servlet instances going to be servicing it. So obvious question is, what is the trigger for the web container to call the destroy method? The first easy trigger is shut down the server, stop the server. Okay, observe. Obviously, when you are shutting down the server, how can any Java classes, any instances run in the memory? Nothing. So go to the server tab, click on the server and stop the server. And tell me from the console, is it calling the destroy method by some main thread? Somebody had asked me earlier, what are those changing numbers? Guys, you're not listening. Those are the different threads. So thread pooling and all, you will understand later. This is your main thread. So this is one of the trigger. There are two more triggers. Anytime you undeploy your web application, uninstall, again the destroy method gets called. Or anytime you redeploy, reload the web application, again this gets called. So other triggers later. You don't remember Shubham NIO? Anyone wants to refresh anyone's memory? What is NIO? IO versus NIO. Non-blocking IO, new IO. So this HTTP server uses non-blocking IO internally, NIO internally. Okay. So this is your first look at servlet. But every time, are you going to invest so many efforts in writing the servlet? No. First day, I always make my beginner's log because you have to understand it inside out. But once you have understood it, the whole servlet can be written under a minute. So let's do that using IDE help, and then I'll give you the 10 minutes break. So follow the instructions, please. Control-Shift-W, close everything. Today, before I join the lab session, please revise. I'm going to give you a detailed revision steps that do this, do that, and all that. Basically, everyone has to create the servlet and test it that way. Okay, so please open the index.html and copy the link. Something. Tell me when you have copied it. Just copy test2 and invoke servlet again. Making the changes in HTML has to be fast. There's no brainer here. We're not using any hi-fi HTML at all. Okay. So now what we want is when client clicks on the link currently, what will client see? HTTP 404 or the output 404? Because we have not yet written or mapped any servlet to this test2. When you talk about URL, localhost 8080 standard part, URI/day3/test2. So the remaining last part is called as the URL pattern, and where we have mapped it. So what is our next 2 minutes objective? We are going to create a IDE help servlet and we will map it to test2. Okay, so start following instructions, please. Here. You can close other projects. Yeah. So where we create a servlet, src main Java, let's do it in the same package. So right click on pages. Can I continue? Right click on pages and go to new and choose the direct option servlet. Right click on pages, new and a servlet. All here. Continue. So now lot of things will be generated by the IDE. First thing I wanted you to write everything. So we spent some time. Now everything will generate. Not everything, but yeah, whatever, 50%. So the package name and all is here. It already knows that the super class is going to be HTTP servlet. So let's give this thing some name to it. So let me say that test servlet. Anything. Follow the naming convention, camel casing, uppercase, and all that. Okay. Next step. Has everyone seen this? Okay, I'll expand. All you are adding is the name of the servlet. Next step. The name and description. Description you want, you can add. It's an optional one. Init parameters later. When you talk about URL mappings, it is that request mapping of incoming URL pattern to the servlet. So click on this and say edit. Anyone wants to tell me what should be the value of this URL mapping? What should be the value of this URL pattern? Only test2/test2 is a correct answer. If you say only test2, you will start getting errors. Why? In the lab session. All these discussions are good to be done in the lab session. So say /test2. I'll immediately tell you why. This is the part, URL pattern is the part of the URL and the separator is the slash. Otherwise, it will be considered as an invalid URL pattern and you'll start getting all exceptions. Okay, this. Now say next. And now it is asking you what methods you want from the servlet. So follow here. Do you ever require constructors from the superclass? Answer is no. So remove that. And you have seen the life cycle. So let us test it again quickly. So actually, let's not waste time. I'm just thinking. No, let us be same. So click on init, destroy. And here they are selected both. We don't require both here. Do get. Keep it simple. So see the checkboxes. Inherited abstract methods. Init, actually they are concrete, but no implementation. Init, destroy, and do get. Done. Chosen all three. Okay, you can say finish. And now you can see whatever took us so much time getting generated ready-made. So this is the approach you are going to follow for the next 2-3 days. First thing, I just wanted to write everything. So let me ask you questions and I hope to get correct answers. Who is going to process these instructions? Web container. When? Deployment time. And what it will do with this? So web container, when you are deploying the web application, creates the empty map. It's the, no, create instance is wrong, Girish, completely wrong. Stop. So it creates the empty map. It is a specialized type of a hash map, guaranteeing the constant time factor, constant time performance. Now, which will be the entry? After it looks at these instructions, what will be the key and a value pair is equal to entry? What it will add? Tell me key, tell me value. Key will be /test2. Incoming URL pattern. Do I have to write here value is equal to? It's optional. If you want, you can write. But if you don't write any attribute name, this is the attribute name. It is by default value. Okay, so this is sufficient. So key is /test2. And what will be the value in the map? Yes, fully qualified name pages.testservlet. So this entry is done by the container right at the application deployment time. Okay. Now, you remember the serial version unique ID? If you see that servlet extends from serializable, so whether you keep it or comment it, it does not matter because we are not going to ever serialize, deserialize servlet. So currently you can ignore this. There are two init methods. This one I don't want to use. The one which we will be using is the without the argument. So remove this argument. Sorry. And now I'm doing the same thing. Now I'll not waste time in threads and all. So I'll just simply say SOP in init. If you want, you can always add thread.current thread. I want to finish it faster just to show you the life cycle. Similarly, the whole idea is to show you how it happens so fast. I mean, how can you develop fast in this IDE? And in doGet, you don't get this. This code I will explain later. It is nothing but response.gettingWriter, getWriter, printWriter, and printing something. So we'll do it our way. So first print the SOP here in doGet. And here, now, what you give me is, okay, you tell me the steps. So what is the first step? This is all revision of what we did earlier. This code you have to type. So first, what I should do? Get the print writer or set content type. First step, set content type, which is the method for that. Response dot. Okay, the whole word is response. It is your HTTP servlet response. Set content type. What should be the content type? Don't make spelling mistakes here. Text/HTML. Now can we open the print writer, which is character oriented, buffered, output stream, connected from servlet to client. So that's the next thing. This part is dicto. This part you have to type. The entire skeleton code was generated. This is just to give you the, what do you say, practice. Print writer, which is the method to access the print writer. Is it get writer or is it get output stream? Answer is get writer. So you get it from response, right? Response dot get writer. It is auto closable, and you can change the contents here. So you can add. Oh, sorry. It's a HTML, guys. So you can always add some formatting. Let me make it clear from the first day. We are not going to spend time in CSS and JS and all here that you know already. So our focus of J2E training is on the Java components, Java web components. So I'll use the minimal formatting. Later I'll use with JSP stable TR, TD and all, but here minimal. So I'm saying, what do you say? Welcome to servlet again. I was just thinking of, what to write. Just a different one. And here you can add that timestamp again if you want. Local time, or you can say new date also, anything. I mean, you can check. You can decide and close that H5 tag. Everyone knows HTML more than this. So welcome to servlet at a particular date, server side date. So first step was this, second step was print writer, and the third step is response body. Finished, done this. I'm just trying to show you with ID, you can generate the whole of it so easily. Let's test it. Okay, one more thing. Yeah, it isn't. No, I was just thinking whether it's a difference. Yeah, in that earlier one, we were writing the thread and all that. Here, let's check it. So how do you deploy? Everyone knows. Right click, run as, run on server, and say finish. Always watch the console. I know it disappears, so don't go to the client side. Guys, I give this instructions to every fresher. Check whether the console is all error free. If the server side console is showing error, there is no chance that your application will work. I mean, request response will work. So I have found that this it's all fine. And this is the last one we are checking. And as you can see, it is printing. You can see that H5 and all that formatted thing, and it is generating the content file. Mute yourself. Guys, mute all. And you can see the changing content here. And you can see that we have removed, I've not put the threads. It is the do get which is getting called as earlier. Getting the same output, understanding the flow, understanding the, what do you say, shortcuts of ID. And again, I'm giving you a 10 minutes break here. You can always attach a different client through the different client browser, and same servlet can be used to handle the multiple clients, multiple requests. So this is where we are taking a 10 minutes break, and then I'll show you the deployment. Currently, we have seen the deployment through using one annotation, but as an exam objective, as a exam understanding, or later for Spring MVC also, you need to know how to deploy a servlet without annotation, but using an XML tag. So I have shared this README with you, and we are going to discuss this after the break, and we are going to deploy our servlet using an XML in 10 minutes. See you around. Creation of a servlet along with its testing and deployment. So some of you are saying, and like I said, this same sequence of whatever we are doing it here, you are going to try it out as a revision in a revision session, as in the lab session, and then I'm going to tell you some more things. Okay, so let me take you to the next topic, next part. So this annotation is a recent approach. Recent means not so recent. From J2E 1.5, it has been introduced. Page not found. Okay, Saurabh, that initial individual help I cannot give you in the theory session. You must have messed up somewhere. The mapping, you check. I'll give you a clue. Check the href of your this thing link. It should be test, and if it is supposed test, then the URL pattern should be /test. So that is the only problem you can have. But if you want my help, I'll extend it in the lab session directly. Right now, I can't ask you to share the screen. Otherwise, I mean, I'll have to invest a lot of time then. Okay. So coming back to the point, what is it we have seen so far is the deployment of the servlet using the annotation. Is there any other approach? Answer is yes. This is called as the legacy approach. So for all practical purposes, which is the approach of deployment we are going to use? Annotation-based deployment or XML tags? Which is the approach which is suitable, which is easier for the developers? Annotation-based approach. But as an exam question, people can ask you that what is the tag you will use? So these have to be remembered. So first I would suggest understand, and then we'll write it together. How to deploy a servlet without annotation via XML tag? So tell me, which is the XML file your web container reads right at the application deployment time? You have the answer, web.xml. So which is the only tag we have added so far in web.xml? Welcome file. So now we are going to add the servlet deployment tags. And let me make a statement before that. Whether you deploy it using the annotation or whether you deploy it with a couple of servlet tags, Is web container going to react? Is web container going to change anything? Answer is no. Web container is going to create the same hash map, I mean specialized version of a map, where the key is going to be the incoming URL pattern and the value is going to be fully qualified servlet class name. Okay, so will the life cycle will the life cycle differ for annotation based development deployment versus XML based deployment? What's the answer? Yes or no? Absolutely not. Okay, so let us give it a try. Open this thing, STS, and anytime you are developing, shut down the server. So go to the servers tab, and here you can see this is the server selector. There is a button here in the top right corner, stop the server. Now open the this thing here. Open your index.html and let us rephrase it. Invoke a servlet deployed using XML tags. Currently it is deployed using annotation, but we are going to deploy it, replace it by this thing, XML tags. So just change the hypertext. Invoke the servlet deployed using XML tags. You tell me whenever you make the changes, just a small change, nothing substantial. Done this much? Okay. Now here, which is the servlet we have for this is test servlet. Open the test servlet and tell me how it is currently deployed. Is it currently deployed using annotation or is it done with a XML annotation? So remove this annotation. Remove this line number 17. Okay. Remove this. Now I have a question. I am not asking you to do it. Just tell me. If you run the server and if you deploy this application and user clicks on this particular link, invoke a servlet, what will you see? The response or 404? Of course, 404, because there is no servlet now mapped to incoming URL pattern /test2. All clear? So now let us start adding the servlet deployment tags in web.xml. Okay, so I can ask you to copy it, but guys, for the first time, don't copy. Let us write it. It just happens in 5 minutes, not more than that. So open web.xml. Everyone got this web.xml? Just keep track. Day 3.1, SRC main web app, that is corresponding to root, web-inf, web.xml. Found it? Mute all, please. Now add a comment. Everyone knows the comment. XML, HTML comment is the same. This is going to be servlet deployment tags. Okay, start. So here, now you'll start appreciating the power of annotation. Just to deploy one, earlier we just had to write one annotation, web servlet and story over. Here you'll have to write so many tags. So start with me. Opening tag, servlet. It will give you the closing tags. Within the servlet, say control space, or you can just wait and you will see there is a sub tag servlet name. Anyone who doesn't want to take effort can copy it from my README. I would resist. I would not recommend it. Here, now say once again and say servlet class. So this is it. So this finishes the server. Of course, you will have red crosses. We have not yet filled the values. Let this be. Now, along with the servlet tag, there is a servlet mapping tag you have to add. So say servlet and you will see servlet mapping. See the word for mapping the incoming URL pattern to the servlet. Same servlet name tag you're going to add here. And what is the last part of that URI called? URL pattern. So the name of the tag itself is URL pattern. So keep the empty tags. We'll fill them up together. I'll send you this if you want the blank tags, the template, in case anyone wants it. I have not yet filled in any values. So of course there will be red crosses. If you say Control Shift F, it will format properly. You tell me whenever you have done completed, I'll give the next instruction. Done with the tags? Okay. So now let's start working towards it. We will fill it in a bottoms up manner. So anyone wants to tell me what should be the value of the URL pattern? /test2. Guys, simply say here test2 and it will tell you in the runtime that it is an invalid URL pattern. So please prefix it with a slash. Okay, so one URL pattern done. It is going to match with, I hope, see, in J2E, it is very important to understand what has to match with what. So whatever is the value of the href without the slash has to match with /test2. So first level mapping done. Now, this is the name of the servlet, which can be literally anything. When I say ABC, you know, it can be anything. So there are three names in the life of a servlet. One is URL pattern, one is a servlet name, and one is a servlet class. Now, I'll give you the significance in a minute. Currently, fill up the tags. Whatever is the servlet name you give here, the same servlet name should appear here. Otherwise, you'll confuse the container. And now I think anyone can understand. If not, take a cursor here and read. What are you going to add as a value of this tag? They have given you the answer. Tell me, what are you going to add? Fully qualified servlet class name. Please don't make spelling mistakes. So pages dot test servlet. All case sensitive. XML is case sensitive. You know that. Pages dot test servlet. After saving, tell me, all red crosses disappeared? No errors whatsoever? There should not be any red crosses after survey. Gone. Okay. Now step back and understand. So start answering. Who is going to read this web.xml file? Web container. Once per request or only once at the deployment time? Only once at the deployment time. What is this instruction? This instruction tells the container anytime client comes to the website, the first page, the welcome page to be delivered, sent is index page. You already know that. Now, when container looks at this, apply your common sense, Java sense, and tell me, what do you think web container will do looking at this tags? You know the story. The same story as annotation. The moment you are deploying a web application, per web application, web container maintains a map. So anyone wants to tell me, what will be the key inside the map? It's an easy answer. What will be the key it will choose as? URL pattern, which is /test2. Okay, hold on. Now, from URL pattern, it will see what is the servlet name? ABC. Fine. It doesn't save it in the map. So now your web container checks, is there any servlet tag having the same servlet name ABC? What's the answer? Exists or not exists? Of course exists. And then it will check what is that fully qualified class name of that servlet class. So now you have the answer. What will be the key and what will be the value inserted in the map? Key you already told me. What will be the value, guys? Fully qualified class name. Are things making sense? Are you understanding something? So whether you use the annotation or whether you use the XML tags, the working of the container is the same. You just have a choice, guys, whether you want to deploy it using annotations, which is what we prefer, or older approach, the legacy approach or the classic approach had been XML tags. So I'll tell you this way. You answer me honestly. Let's see how open you are. Which was easier to understand? I said for understanding the internals, which was easier for you to relate? Annotation or XML? Guys, I thought so. Guys, XML is such a verbose. Look at this. You know, we have an English problem. We have an English communication problem. I don't think we have a Java problem largely. I did not ask you which is easier to configure. Easier to configure is annotation. We know that. I said for understanding, see this. See, I'm not forcing my impression or my feelings on you. I'm asking you to think independently. Let me try again. See this. When you see all these just two lines, okay, just this line, and understanding the internals was easier versus when you saw these tags, understanding and guessing and getting the internals was easier. Are you understanding it? So guys, XML is a good way for understanding. Finally, what we are going to use is 100% annotation. Tags give you clarity. They tell you immediately what is happening. So even when I take you to Spring Framework later, much later, maybe 8 days down the line, after first half is done, we always teach you Spring Framework first using XML. And then in a day's time, we take you to annotation where things are happening automatically internally. So anyway, so we have done this. So now it's high time to test it. So I think you just save all, as in save everything, deploy the application and check whether it is working at all or is it giving you 404 anywhere. 404 typically means the mismatch between the incoming URL pattern, that what is it? Link href versus your this thing, versus your what? URL pattern. So click on this and tell me, are we getting the same results as earlier? Is it working in the same manner as earlier? So whether it is annotation based deployment or whether it is XML tags, output is the same, life cycle is the same, the whole working is the same. Got it, guys? The annotation based as well as your XML. Don't add both. You will confuse the container and you'll start throwing exceptions. So it is either or. Either add annotations or XML, and like I advertised, always XML. Okay. So now this was your just to create a servlet and deploy it. Let us take you further. So far, let me say this. What is it we have been doing? I'll give you choices. Are we doing the request processing, reading anything from the request? Option 1. Sending response, option 2. Both or neither? Our servlet so far, what is it they have been doing so far? Reading the request data, sending the response, both or neither? Wrong. Wrong answers. Where I'm doing the request processing, have I even used HTTP servlet request anywhere? We are just generating the response. So now it is high time to read the request parameters, request data. We will attach a form, and using the form, we'll submit some data from client to this one server, and I'll show you the form processing. Form processing is not the word, request data reading. So let me just check. Have I given you? Wait a second. HTML pages. Okay, I'll give you this. I don't want you to waste time here in HTML at all, because you already are HTML expert. I don't have to give you anything more. So let me send you those pages so that you won't waste time. Yeah, just download it. Extract. You let me know when you have extracted it. Okay. Now don't pick up the login form. Login form will take later. Pick up the input form. It's nothing but a HTML form. Copy this. Okay. Not too much of formatting. Don't expect your bootstrap and all that. And anyone wants to answer? Okay, sorry, before please stop the server. Anytime you're doing a development, stop a server. Yeah, now answer me. Where should I copy? Where are you going to copy this form? Under which folder, please? Web app folder. Absolutely correct. It's under the root. And what is root is mapped to src main web app. Src main, forget Java, this is not Java, web app. So click on web app, Control V, paste it. Done. Copied the HTML under web app. Okay. Now here, this is nothing but input form, you know. So I'm accepting different type of inputs, including the name of the user, favorite colors. Basically, I just want to show you the different form, input types, text, then you can have checkboxes, radio buttons, etc. So the idea is not showing you HTML form types, input types. Idea is to show you how to do the request processing, which are the APIs you are going to use to read this request from the servlet. That's the idea. Okay, so let us first bind this. Let us do the mapping. So open your index.html and here let's connect it to the form. So copy this link and here we will submit the request to input.html. And here we are going to test all the different inputs. Testing. It is actually request parameters we are testing, or I'll say testing all inputs. So I'll wait at every stage. So tell me, when this page we are going to send this index page as the first response. So when the client clicks on it, can anyone tell me what will be the URL sent from server to client to server? When I say URL, drop HTTP localhost 8080, tell me the URI. Just URI will do. Waiting. Again, you are missing point. Guys, its URI starts with the context path. Which is the context path? Which is the web application /day 3.1 /input.html. Don't just say input, it's input.html. So this now as the response of that request, which you can trace from that network tab, the input page, that input HTML form will be sent to the client, and this is what your client will see. This is what will be downloaded. Understood so much? Now tell me. Here, okay, you can look at this. Form has two things. Form has an action, form has a method. When you don't supply the method, which is the default method, get or post, it is get. Got this? So currently let it be get. Soon we will change it to post and we'll spot the differences. So the method is like get. And here, form action. Okay, form action can be test input. It can be anything. So suppose it is test input. So I have a small question. You can look at the form table TRTD, everyone knows. So I've got a couple of form inputs, username, colors, what else I've got, browser, then the city, etc., description about yourself. And finally, what you have got, line number 51 is the submit style button. I'm not using any JavaScript events such as on submit, on click and nothing simple input type submit. So tell me, when you click on this button, not you, client, when the client clicks on this button, this form data will be submitted using what? Method get or method post? Of course, method get. So it will all appear as the query string. So anyone wants to tell me which will be the URL pattern? See the words URL, URI, and URL pattern. To which URL pattern it will be submitted? I'm just asking you I'm not asking you URI. I'm asking you URL pattern. Which URL pattern it will be submitted to? Type out the answer. URL pattern. The method is the do get. What are you mixing up? /test/input. /test_input. And You'll see soon a query string. What will be the query string? Containing request parameters. Which parameter name? F1. If I say username Madhura, F1 equal to Madhura. Next one. Suppose my color. So some colors are checked. I say my color, favorite color is blue and pink. So color equal to blue, color equal to pink, etc. And likewise. Understood what I said? So what is our job? Our objective is do the request processing, as in read the request data and simply send it back as the response. In short, what is the output I'm looking for? I'll tell you what is the output. On the response, I want to see hello Madhura. Madhura is some username. Then I need to show the user these are your favorite colors or these are your chosen colors. This is your browser. This is your selected city, etc. Is the requirement clear? Simple request processing and response generation. Got me? Okay. So you tell me, what should we do next? Should we write the next HTML or servlet? This form will be submitted to what? HTML or servlet? Quickly. Is there a lag or are you not understanding? I said, next thing what you should write is a servlet, of course, which is easier to deploy, which is the easy deployment option, annotation or XML annotation. So we are going to follow this. So let's do this together. Just remember the action, or you can copy this so that if you make a spelling mistake, you'll definitely get HTTP 404. So follow. Where are you going to create the servlet? Under which folder? Let me see. Pages. So basically it is a package under SRC main Java. So right click on pages, new, and now take the direct option of a servlet. Tell me once you reach here. Right click on pages, new and a servlet. Reached here? Can I continue? Okay. Now give some input. Always, give some name. Always give some, proper name. So test all inputs, something. The super class is going to be HTTP servlet. Next it. I'll just maximize it. What is it you are going to edit? URL mapping. Nothing but a URL pattern. Tell me, what should be the value of the URL pattern? Does it have to match with anything or any arbitrary one? Of course, it has to match. Which one? Whatever is the form action. Earlier, it was the href of a link. So now, whatever is the form action, you do it here. That is why I asked you to add it. Just prefix it with a slash because otherwise it will be an invalid URL pattern. Added slash test underscore input. Okay, that? And then you say next. And now, okay, so when you don't choose the constructor, default constructor will be already supplied by compiler. And all you need is a default constructor. So now here we have already traced the life cycle and there is nothing which I want to specifically do to init and destroy. So leave them. You just tell me which one should I override? Do get or do post or both or neither? Which one should we override? Of course, do get. Why I'm saying? Because I have not mentioned the method. Default method is get. So that get, the public service method which calls the protected service is going to call do get. So remove that do post and only keep do get here. Say finish. So tell me, your servlet got generated, basic code, skeleton code got generated. Same old question till you say, okay, we are bored, we understood it types. Who is going to read this? When? And what will be the outcome? Who is going to read this, guys? Web container exactly once at the deployment time. And anyone wants to tell me which entry now it will add. Now this is the third servlet we are writing, if you notice. So earlier servlet entries are there. Which will be the new entry added? Which key, which value? Key is nothing but incoming URL pattern, and the value is going to be pages dot test all inputs. Are you understanding? And why container chooses your hash map or specialized subclass of hash map? To ensure constant time performance, O1 factor for searching. It doesn't have to waste time. It is all based on hash code and equals. Okay, so that now get rid of it and start writing the steps. The first steps are the same. Set response. Till you can do it in the middle of night, keep writing the comments. Set response content type. This is not a body. You are setting a header. Response packet ka header you are setting. And the method is response dot set content type and the text slash HTML. Do it. You will tell me the next step. What is the next step I should have? Because basic steps are all the same, whatever servlet you write. So yeah, so now you have to open the, I'll say open the print writer to send response from servlet to client in a buffered manner, right? So open the try with resources. And what is it you are going to open is the print writer. You can use any variable name. Okay, I generally use PW. It's a local variable name. And don't say new print writer. You are going to take it from response. You want to add the response buffer. So response.get writer. And this is what will change. So now you are going to do read the request parameters. So this is a new part for you. So I'll give you the API and we'll write it together. So till now, guys, we had not looked at anything coming from the client request. This is the first time I'm showing you. So request parameters are what? The request data which is sent from client to server. So request parameter has a name and a value. Both, because it is HTTP, both are string, string name, string value. So now please open the Java docs. Okay, I've written it in the README. You can read whatever like. So here, read this. Yeah, how to read the request parameters which are sent from client to server. So read these two and I'll discuss. The J2E API is really easy. It is the concept which takes little time to understand. Okay, so you read it from the README. Parallelly, I'll open for you the API docs. As always, we do everything from the API docs. So here, the method is in the servlet request. Okay, so HTTP servlet request is the sub interface. You can go from there to servlet request and look at the method get parameter. So read the description. Returns the value of the request parameter as a string. But if you have messed up if there is no parameter by that name, what will that method return is a null. Okay, this is one API. And which is the other one I showed you? Get parameter values. In goes the request parameter name and returns the array of strings containing all of the values to the given request parameter or null if it doesn't exist. Has everyone read this? Get parameter and get parameter values. So now I have a question. So I'm going to ask you one by one. So here, all these request parameters whose name is F1, CLR, etc. are going to be sent from client to server as a form data. Okay, as a URL query string. So anyone wants to tell me, if I want to read this request parameter F1, What should I use? What should be the Java code you will use? I said Java code. How can you say just name, Prashant? Give me the one-liner Java code. Don't take shortcuts at this point. Which will be the method you'll use? Give me the one-liner code. Simple one. No idea, no clue, lost? Or are you typing? Request.get parameter F1. Very right. Don't say string F1, come on. Request.get parameter. In goes the name and out comes the value. Suppose I say Madhura, for example, you'll see the output. Okay. Now, so you'll use request.get parameter. Now, if I want to find out the favorite colors, which method you will use? Get parameter or get parameter values? I've given you only two choices. Of course, get parameter values. Why? Because for one request parameter CLR, am I having one value or can I have multiple values, multiple selectable checkboxes, multiple values? So in such case, which API will use? Get parameter values. Go ahead. I'm just talking to you so we can finish it together in a fast manner. If I want to find out, this is your chosen browser. What will you use? Get parameter or get parameter values? Those who are saying values is wrong. Guys, it is a radio button. So radio button is what? How many values it is going to send? Maximum, single value. I've given the same name. So of course, so the answer is request.get parameter. Next one. Is it a single selectable drop-down list or multi? Currently, it is single selectable. I have not said multiple here. So which option, which method you will use? Get parameter or get parameter values? I hope people are getting it. Of course, get parameter. For a particular parameter, if there are multiple values, suppose I say I want to choose 2 locations. Okay. So then you will say multiple. Then you will use get parameter values. Till then, only the whatever, get parameter. How will you read the information from text area? Get parameter or get parameter values from the text area? Wrong. Guys, the whole string, the text area information comes as a one single string. There's only one value associated with it. So again, you use get parameter. So I have discussed the solution. Let us write it together. Start. So read request parameters and what do you say? Send the response. Okay. So start with me. pw.print. Let's have a slight formatting. You can have H4, H5 something. And I want to say hello followed by username. Waiting for your inputs. I've just now solved the whole thing. I just want you to try it on your own. I want to find out the username. Yes, write the code and show me. Show me the line. So here, which method? Whose method? Response dot you are going to use, or are you going to read the request? Of course, you are going to read the request. So request dot, which method? Get parameter. So you can read the description, returns the value of that request parameter. And please don't make spelling mistakes. It's a string parameter name. So what is the parameter name we've got here? I guess F1. You can change it to username or whatever. I just use F1. Form field name. Getting it? And then you can close the tag. Understood the first line? Request processing. Request.get parameter F1. Very right. Now just make copies, guys. Don't waste, don't struggle. I mean, of course, you'll have to modify. So let's do that. So now I'll give you a minute. And yeah, favorite colors. I'm saying chosen colors, or I can say favorite colors. Yeah. So you tell me this part. The only part which is going to come from you is the Java content. The static content I can manage. I hope you are knowing between these two pluses, what should I write is what you are giving me. Try it out. I mean, Write it. Get parameter values and color. You are absolutely right, Mohit. And the rest. So request dot get parameter values. And what is the parameter name here? CLR. Wait for a second. You got this? So if you do this, just take a cursor here and it is going to return you a string array. And if you display string array, all you will get is a L value and the hash code. So first see the mistake and then we'll correct it. Okay. Now go to the next one. Next one is your radio button. So I'm checking this, the browser chosen. Now I think you can go ahead on your own. So I'll say here, chosen browser or selected browser, something. You don't require my help. Since it is a radio button, one out of many, just keep the spellings and all correct. So the name of the request parameter is browser. Okay, selected browser is done. What else we are having? Selected city. It's a single drop down list, so I can have this. Oh, chosen city, selected city. I think it is. I'll check. What is the name? Oh, name is my select. Just it is all in entire J2. It is all about understanding and matching, nothing else. And then I'm saying the last case, I guess we are in. So select a city yourself. So description. And here, I have info. So the last thing I'm doing is the info. Let me check. Hello username, favorite colors, browser, city, and about. I'll send you this in case you don't want to type. But understanding, I hope, should be clear. Is those who are not typing, those who are not coding along, are they understanding, guys? Is it making sense? Everyone is not coding along, I know that. Or is everyone coding along? Anyway, I'll wait. Okay. So making sense, I hope. So finished. I'm saying that you're going to get something weird here, but see that weird thing and then we'll fix it in a minute. Okay. So I hope you are done with it. Try deploying and running and testing. So right click, run as, run on server, finish. Always watch the console. Don't be in a hurry to test it. Nobody, I mean, client is not going anywhere. So check the console and the console should be always error free. Don't give us the thing that I'm getting 404. You have to check for a first on the console if the things are all right. And now when I say, I can just increase the font. Here, testing all inputs. Not a good looking form, I agree. The CSS, bootstrap, everything that you know how to add. You can always make it better looking than this. And here, suppose I say something. Suppose my favorite colors are blue and red, something. Chosen this, Chrome. City of residence, maybe Pune. Okay. So here, tell me what worked and what did not work. Did anything work at all? Or are you getting 404? Are you getting the user information? Yes, I told you. So do you remember first or second or first few days in Core Java? This is printing you arrays to string. It's a single dimensional array It's an array of references of type string, and this is your hash code. Is this what you want to show to client, or do you want to actually show the selected colors to the client? Selected colors. So tell me how. I already told you the bug. You just said the toString. I mean, you just use the this. So which is, what is the solution? I want to see that blue or red or whatever I select. Arrays.toString. Very right. So just pass it through the arrays.toString, and that's what I was asking you. Okay. So west dot get parameter values. One more bracket, I guess. So just pass it through that arrays.toString. And there are so many things you're going to observe in J2E in that next 2-3 days, next 2-3 weeks. So observe. So have you made the change? Let me go slow here because I have an interesting point to make. Made the change. Now just open the console. This is your console, okay? And here, clear the console. When I say clear the console, hear my English. Here, I'm not saying close the console. So can you see there is a button? See where my cursor is moving. So there is a button there, clear console. It is like a CLS, clear screen in short. So you have cleared the console and now you say save. So here, when you make the changes, sorry, the whole thing is flopped because my server was off. Oh, server was started. No. I was thinking that whether I lost it or not. So it has automatically, this is like your live reload feature, guys, in React. Anytime you make a change in a web application, automatically IDE detects it and reloads your context. What is context? A web application. So after that, do you have to still restart the server? Not really. So directly go to the client. Client means client-side browser. You can say back if you want. If you want, you can change colors or whatever if you want. And tell me, are we getting the selected colors now properly? Is it working fine? You could have just refreshed it also. So this is what tells you little bit slightly about request processing. Got here at least some part, some idea, some understanding about the servlets. Okay. So naturally, we are not going to do, I mean, this is the starting point, but what is our aim? Our aim is, I've already given you that case study. So the aim is, I lose those case studies like anything anyway. So we are going to create, there's so many case studies I have already like kept it. So anytime you get bored, you can start solving. Once you finish this, people say, I've finished it, give me more. So that is more. So this is what we are going to develop in the oncoming days. So I know we are almost, I'm stopping here, don't worry. So here, I'll get this done. Get this done means not the extra things, don't worry. We'll revise the full thing. And then of course I'm going to tell you some things to do. So if you have this login form, this is that content management system we are going to build over the days. Okay. Now, so once you have this, tell me, this is an ordinary HTML form. Later we'll replace it by JSP. No issues. So here, how should this form be submitted? Using get or using post? If it is a login form which contains the critical sensitive information, of course, post. So before dispersing, before taking a lunch break, let me change the method in the current form from get to post, and we'll observe and conclude. Okay, follow the steps. I mean, nothing as the steps. Open the form. Which form you are opening? Input.html. Has everyone opened it? Just one last minute. And here, mention the other attribute. The default value of method is get. Change it to post. Done. Change the form method. Form action is still test input. Just change the form method to post. Okay. After you change the HTML content, you don't need to restart the server. So directly go to the client. Say back and refresh. See, client browser has got the cached page. So say refresh. Okay. And if you want to convince yourself, right click and say view page source and check. Is the method changed from get to post? View page source. Is the method, HTTP method changed from get to post? Great. So now come here, give some inputs. And after you press enter, what did you get? Output or error code? Of course, error code. Client-side error or server-side error series? C or S? Client. Come on, guys. Don't give me such talks after doing web technologies. If this is a 400 series or client-side. But is it your famous 404? No. It is telling you so clearly. It is get versus post issue. So when you have, okay, let me ask you. 2 minutes. Client sends a request. The container will call public service method. Public service will delegate it to protected service. And now tell me, which method your protected service will try to call? Do post. Again, you are saying get. Guys, the data has been sent via post. Don't you see it? There's no, what is it called? Query string. The whole data has been added in the request body. So how can you say get? Do post. But is the do post method implemented or not implemented? It is not, I mean, it has the default response. It is not abstract, it is concrete, which simply returns the response status code 405. So after saying all this, I think fix is easy. Tell me the fix. Tell me the solution. I don't want to leave it with a problem. What is the solution? You will have to replace do get by do post. So quickly, it's a half a second or half a minute thing. Open test all inputs, which is the method we had implemented. Do get, replace it by do post. And the moment you save, you can see the whole application will get reloaded. Wait for it to get reloaded. See, reloading the context. Context is nothing but the web application. Go to the client side, back, and tell me, is your post, is your data posted? I mean, is the form data sent via post working fine? Is the do post working fine? Okay. So that is more than sufficient ground covered for day one. So that will be all. You are going to revise this thoroughly in the lab session. Mute all, please. And then if we get time, I'll get the revision also done. I'll tell you exactly how to revise. Guys, stop. Don't unmute yourself unnecessary. And then, of course, I'm going to give you some slide work to check your understanding. That will be all. See you in the labs.